Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Today, we are going to talk about something that's really critical to everyone's success, to yours with your exes, yours with your bosses, yours with your children, your family, your friends. Communication is key. And I wanted to let you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing tonight and who I am. And if you've not been on any of our webinars, my name is Vicky Townsend, and I am the founder of TheCafeD. And I am so thrilled to have you here tonight because we're going to be talking about how to communicate with your ex in their language so that you can be heard and your needs can be met. Now, that may sound a little strange, and it is actually going to be a different kind of presentation tonight because what I'm going to share with you is something that I do because what my ninja skill is and what my business skill has been over the last many years is I have been helping people start and grow their business primarily with sales and marketing. And so I go in and I train people on how to increase their sales so that their bottom line is better and their profits are better and everything's better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a new sales system that is so unique and so cool that I think you're going to really love it. And the reason why is because it uses the 4 personality types and turns them kind of inside out so that you can understand why people make the decisions that they make. And in my case, normally I would be talking to you about how they make buying decisions and why they make buying decisions. But I'm here to tell you that this system can be used with everybody, including your children, and getting them to take out the garbage. Does that sound good? I'm hoping that you're saying, yes, I'm with you. So I'm going to be helping you with your communication skills to everybody else so that you'll start to see that everybody processes information a little bit differently, speaks it and processes it in their own way. And when you speak it back to them in the way they understand and the way they manipulate and the way they take in information, you can get more yeses. So I want to start out. So it's the title of this webinar is called How to Communicate with Your Ex in Their Language so that you can be heard and your needs will be met. But what you're going to hear a lot from me and from this webinar is a lot of sales jargon too. So when you were talking about that, I want you to think about how this can help you influence people to see your side of the conversation and that communication can go a little bit easier. So this is based on the idea, is it possible for one idea to change the world? And I'm here to tell you that the founder of this system that I'm going to tell you about, her name is Sherry Tree. She was a really bad salesperson. And I think in her first year in sales, she made about $700. And over the next 5 years, she did all of these different sales trainings and she got herself up to $72,000 a year. And after 5 years, but it still wasn't what she was capable of. And it certainly wasn't what other people around her were doing. And it wasn't until she figured out how people were making their buying decisions and what personality types were making those kinds of decisions did she come upon what she calls helping people like crack their code. So we're going to get into that. But the idea was, in sales, we have this myth, which is, to get more yeses, you have to hear more nos, right? Well, it ends up that that's really the greatest myth that's ever been told, because what if you could just get more yeses? Wouldn't that be absolutely amazing? And I'm not just talking about in the sales game here. I'm really talking about how about getting yeses to get your kids to take out the garbage? Wouldn't that be something absolutely special? So the name of this system that I'm going to be talking to you about tonight is called Bank. And it's a very intentional name because it's really about increasing sales. So again, we're going to be talking about it in influence, not in sales. Although if you're in the sales industry, if you're in the business world and you feel like this can help you increase your business by increasing your sales, then go for it. Take notes. There is a worksheet that is involved with this webinar. So you can get that out and you can start to take some notes, because this is really exciting stuff. This really rocks my world, because I really like how this works. So it's called Bank. It's a personality sales training system. But again, we're going to be using it for influence, because that's going to be really important. So this was, any fool can complicate things. It takes a genius to simplify them. This is such a simple system. You're going to go, why didn't anybody tell me about this before? I hope that you're going to have a lot of aha moments tonight about what this can do for you, what this can do for your family, and how this can make communication with your ex a little bit smoother. So what is Bank? But like I said, it was originally about it's not even originally, it's used in the sales system, and it was based on a couple of different people influenced Sherry Tree, and Robert Kiyosaki was one of them, and he said the ability to sell is the number one skill in business. Well, I'm here to say that the ability to sell and influence is the number one skill in a relationship. So we're going to be using this in that manner. So if the best salesperson outsells the average salesperson by 57-1, how do you think that could go into relationships and having a great communicator and great communication in a relationship? And whether that's in a romantic relationship or the relationship with your family and your friends and your children. So that's what my goal is for you. So this system is about cracking your personality code, cracking the personality code of the people around you, so that you can communicate the way they process information. So they need to hear language maybe a little bit differently than you. So this is about cracking their personality code to increase your influence by up to 300%. Sherry Tree designed this system many years ago, and and she really thought about it like the movie The Da Vinci Code. If you saw the movie The Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks, maybe you remember that this thing right here on your screen is called a cryptex. And what it is it's this really complicated, almost like a safe, where you had to spell out the absolute exact letters that it would take to open up this cryptex, where it kept on the inside, there was a papyrus. And on that papyrus, there's written the secret to the Holy Grail. And if you opened it up and you didn't have the exact perfect code, that papyrus was wrapped around a vial of vinegar, and it would crack the vial of vinegar, leaking the vial of vinegar onto the papyrus, absolutely destroying the message that would be on it. So the secret to the Holy Grail would be lost forever. So that's what the movie was like. That was what the movie was about. But Sherry Tree said that's the way people's personality codes are. It's like you're wearing this little secret code, like a little vial around your neck. And if I could crack your code, I could open it up and you could tell me how I need to speak to you so that we could be in agreement in our conversations, and our in the sales industry, the sales conversation could go smoother. So I'm hoping this makes sense. So there are 4 personality types, and Sherry has renamed them so that they spell out the acronym of Bank. So there's a blueprint, an action, a nurturer, and a knowledge. And I'm going to go into those. So it's really important that you take some notes here, because this is going to be really life-changing stuff for you. And I want you to know that this was based on, the 4 personality codes. And the 4 personality types have been around since 400 BC. Hippocrates was a physician, a Greek physician, and he brought in what was called the 4 temperaments back then into his medical practice. So this is not new stuff. There are all sorts of DISC programs and Myers-Briggs and all of these other personality assessment tests, of which I've taken practically all of these that are on the screen here. Millions of people have taken these personality codes. The difference between those and this is that those tell you who you are, but those don't tell me how you make decisions about the things that you buy and agree and buy into. So that's why this is going to be really important, because most of the people make a common mistake, and you speak to somebody else, maybe your ex or maybe your children, in the way you think that they should take in information, because it's the way you take in information. It's the way you process things. But I'm here to tell you, and after tonight, you will see that you have, every time you deliver it in your personality code, you're missing out on the other 3 personality codes that need to hear your information spoken a bit differently. So you are right 25% of the time, but you're wrong 75% of the time. So after tonight, hopefully what I'm going to be able to help you do is have conversations where everyone is in agreement 100% of the time. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Well, good. Let's get going. So the question is, what if you could deliver the right presentation, and in this instance, the right conversation 100% of the time that didn't just absolutely piss off your ex? Wouldn't that be nice? So this was designed around Tony Robbins. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he has a quote is, let your prospect determine your presentation. Well, in this case, we're letting the people that you're talking to determine how you speak to them. So there's a golden rule out there. I'm sure you probably grew up with this, which is treat others the way you would want to be treated. This is going to be a little bit different twist on that, which is treat others the way they want to be treated. Now, doesn't that make a lot of sense? You never really probably thought about that, did you? So it's really an interesting thought. So the way that this increases sales, but more importantly, tonight we're talking about influence up to 300%, is if you see this blue box on the far left, that would be a single code or a single language. If you added another language to your conversation, in other words, being able to speak to somebody else in just one more different way, you would increase the yeses that you would receive by 100%, add a third language up to 200%, and then if you added that fourth language to the conversation, you would increase your influence in that conversation by up to 300%. So imagine you're speaking English and I speak Italian, or I speak German, or I speak Chinese. Every time you added one of those languages in there, you have a much greater chance of getting me to agree with what you're saying. That's the same way this is going to work for you in your family and in your relationships. So again, we're going, the acronym of BANK is Blueprint, Action, Nurturing, and Knowledge. So here we go. Take your notes, because this is some really great stuff. I'm going to teach you some language to use. I'm going to teach you some interesting things and some interesting thoughts. What I would love for you to do is to see if you can see yourself in these personality codes, and see if you can see your ex and even your children in here, because I think that what will happen is that you're going to see things in a different light, and you're going to have the ability to learn how to communicate a little bit better. So out of the box, we're going to start with the blueprints. The blueprints, it's pretty much just like you see here. These are blueprints. Blueprints give you a plan, right? Blueprints tell you the process by which you have to build something. Without a blueprint, without a plan, you can't do anything. So a blueprint, they value stability and structure, systems and planning. They don't like to have something thrown in them in the last minute. And they definitely like processes. They like predictability. They don't like surprises. That throws them for a loop. They like responsibility. They value responsibility and duty. These are great people for the military. They are rule followers. So they value rules and credentials. These are people that you can walk into their office maybe, and they've got all of their degrees hanging up on the walls, or they've got all of their degrees listed on their business card. I don't know if you've ever seen a business card that has MD, PhD, CPA, acronym after acronym after acronym. And these are people that value that. They went to school to get those credentials. And it's very important to them that you know about their abilities to do the work for you. So a CPA would be a perfect one in this particular instance. They value titles and they value tradition. So these are people that are bankers. They're very conservative people, and they're also hyper organized. So if you walked into their closet, all of their closet, the for the most part, and this isn't an exact science, but their closet would probably be laid out by color, by sleeve length, by season, that those types of things. Their desk is perfect. Their books are lined up by color, by size, or by subject, alphabetical order. Everything is perfect. There's not a paper on their desk that doesn't have its place. They're not particularly messy people. Everything is pristine and pretty traditional. So these are people that are pretty conservative in their dress. This is a greeting that they would give. They're very big on handshaking from a distance. Kind of like a firm pump. And you'll see, like here, you've got on the navy blue suit with maybe the Oxford cloth button-down shirt. So this is, very bankery, very, like architect, people that need to follow processes, CFOs, things like this. So if you are one, or if you're married to one, they value time. They value a lot of things that keep them inside of the box. These guys are and women too. They're very inside of the box thinkers. Being outside of the box scares them. They want those rules. They need everything in place. They need to know what's going on. These are people that are more likely to get involved with if they're buying stock. They're not going to necessarily buy a stock that's coming up, right out of the gate. They would be way more comfortable buying a stock that's been on the stock market for a long time, has some history behind it, so that they feel very comfortable. New risky things makes them very uncomfortable. So we're going to use the visual of, being an inside of the box thinker. So that's what these people are. So when it says up here, it says sales tips. This is really about communication tips. So understand that this can be used that same way. So with them, you need to be very professional and organized and be on time. These are people that if you're late, that makes them feel very uncomfortable. That makes them feel like you've taken advantage of their time. So if that's you, or maybe that's not you and that was your ex and you were late all the time, or they're late all the time, it bugs a blueprint like crazy, because they value being on time. That's something that's very important. They like to have a step-by-step plan. They want to know what's coming up. We're going to go to the movies with the Davises, and then we're going to go to this place, and then we're going to go to this place, and we'll be home by midnight. They need a plan in place. So with all of your even social things that you're going to do, or anything that you're going to be doing if you bought a home together. So don't be pushy or exaggerate. They don't like that. They're inside of the box thinkers. Everything needs to be straight and inside of the lines. They're inside of the lines kind of people. So you need to have your facts straight. You have your resources in place. So if you need to convince your ex of some sort of change or some sort of addition that you're going to be making, maybe say around the kids, then you need to be able to support with facts and resources. You have to have those resources in place, and you have to be able to show proof to back up your claim as to why you need that to happen. So they need proof. And also, systems. They're very system people. So they need to know if you're changing schools, what's going to happen? What's the system? How's that going to work? How's it going to impact them? Who's going to pick up the kids? How's what's the timing on that? So also, they don't like risk. These are people that like just tried and true. These are people that probably wouldn't start their own business from scratch, but would buy maybe a franchise, something that's already in existence, because they will like that history. So think about that when you're dealing with those people. Maybe that's you. And also, they're very budget minded. That's why these people are Excel spreadsheet, budget. These are great people with numbers. And they just like everything, and everything has its place. So you can understand if you were not somebody that has things in place, that would drive this person nuts. So in speaking languages to them, you would need to be able to stick within a budget. These are people that probably are not going to buy a super expensive car because they're going to feel like that's probably, it's going to lose value as soon as you drive it off the parking lot. Things like that don't make a lot of sense to them. They don't necessarily have to have the most expensive, watch, jewelry. They're very happy buying their business suits as long as it looks good at, or clothing at a discount place because they've saved money. So that's very important to them. So that's a blueprint. And now we're going to move on to the opposite of a blueprint, which is an action taker. An action taker, these are the movers, shakers, and millionaire makers. These are the people that are out there. They're flash, and everything's great. They drive the expensive cars, and they have the homes and the expensive gated communities. They eat at all the best places. They probably spend a little bit more money than they even have on those types of things. Typically, they're covered with logos, their handbags or shoes, cars, any of those things have logos, and they are, so they're very concerned about their image. So they value freedom. That's why these are great entrepreneurs. They value flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity. So this is a personality type that looks at opportunity and says, yeah, baby, let's go for this. I'm all in. Is there an opportunity for me to make money here? Whereas the blueprint that we were just talking about sees opportunity as risk. So do you see how they can see the same scenario with two totally different lenses on it? So they see opportunity. They love excitement. They love attention and stimulation, competition, winning, fun, and of course their image. So they care about the car they drive. They care about the community that they live in. They care about the restaurants where they eat. They care about the logos that are on their clothing. That's something that's really, really important to them. And it's interesting. Both of my kids are A's, are action people. And I've always had a problem getting them to take out the garbage. It was always a fight in my home. And so after I learned this system, I went home and I walked into the door and I said, the first one that gets the garbage out to the front of the street gets to pick what we're having for dinner tonight. Oh my gosh, they could have knocked me over to get the garbage out to the front of the street that night because it was involved competition. They wanted to win. So it was so great. I was in there going, is this really all it took? For years and years, we were arguing about getting the garbage out. Now all I had to do was make it a competitive situation, and it was without question the easiest time I ever gotten. And that's what we still do. So it works, and it's a lot of fun. So these are people whose greeting would be, the blueprint was that firm handshake. These are high fivers. These are fist pumpers. These are, slap you on the back kind of people. These are just the real kind of, fly by the seat of their pants, always having a great time. So the communication tips to them, if you need to, always be cool and be dressed to impress, because they want to know that you're kind of as hip as they are, because they don't like to they don't like to hang with people that aren't also those action takers. Everything has to be with a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. Just like when I asked my kids, hey, first one they get the garbage out gets to pick out what we're having for dinner. And, I made it exciting, and I was really enthusiastic. And when my goodness, when my son won, it was like the greatest thing in the world around our house. You would have sworn that, I don't know, the Dolphins just won the Super Bowl. Who knows? But it was crazy. The thing that the A's like is they want to get straight to the bottom line. These are people that don't like a lot of small talk, and they don't like a lot of needless information. They really like things in bullet points, please. If you are communicating to an action taker, Don't send them an email that is super long. If you can keep it down to 1, 2 paragraphs, if you could even do it in bullet points, that's even better. This will go over so much better. They'll be able to chunk it down, and because these people make decisions with their gut. Um, uh, the blueprints, we talked about them. They were uh, inside of the box thinkers. These people are so totally out of the box thinkers. They blow up the box. They are such out of the box thinkers, and so they just love action. They love to be doing something all the time. So, give them a sense of urgency when you're talking to them, and, always talk about the sizzle, lifestyle, and dream, even if that's about your kids when you're selling, the idea of a new school or a new after school activity or a new car that the kids may need. Sell the lifestyle and the dream and what that makes, what that means to your action taker. Don't overload, oh my Lord, don't overload them with details, charts, and information, because A also just very well may stand for ADD. So don't give them a ton of details. They can't stand it. As a matter of fact, it will shut them down immediately and they will not be able to make a decision. And definitely, they want to hang with other A personalities. It's just that's who they feed on, that energy. So if you can bring all of that into your conversation, you're going to be able to communicate better with them. So they're going to be able to buy into what you're trying to get them to do. The next personality type is a nurturer. And this happens to be my personality type. So you see the little logo down there at the bottom is a sunflower, and they're all the smiley faces, and they have a heart of gold, because we are nurturers. We are the caregivers. We value relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, and contribution. So I was telling you before, because I was my business side of me is, sales and marketing, and that's what, my skill set is. But from my nurturing side, that's why I started the CHOOSEday. I wanted to provide a place where people could go and get support while they're going through the most stressful time in their adult life, which is through a divorce or the breakup of a relationship. So I wanted to provide a place where I could help support you, and that gives me significance. And I also wanted to provide some ways for you to grow personally, and I wanted to be able to give back to the community. And so I'll tell you a little bit about us. First and foremost, this is the way we greet each other. We're big huggers. I have probably ruined a lot of sales in my life because I've hugged people that didn't want to be hugged before. Just like the blueprint would stick out a hand, I would probably go, nah. Before understanding that that's the way, that was their language, I would force myself on them with a hug. And that was never a good idea. So I needed to put myself in their shoes. And so now I understand when a blueprint is putting out their hand to me, that's what I need to do in return, is to give them a handshake. So I'll tell you a little bit about nurturers. Nurturers care. We can smell inauthenticity a mile away. And if we think you're inauthentic, if we think you're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, we'll walk away. We will shut down immediately and we're out of there. So it's really important for you to be authentic and genuine. And unlike the action taker that doesn't like small talk, we love small talk. We want to know that you really care about me and my family. Ask about my kids. Tell me about the charity that you've got coming up, because I'm all about giving back to charities. I get involved with a lot of charities. We care about the community. So Nurturers are good teachers and of course nurses. They work for nonprofits, so they're caregivers. They're true caregivers. So when you're chatting with a nurturer, you just need to show them that you care more about them than what's going on. And in this case, it says about the money, but about the transaction. Just let them know that you really care about them, and introduce them to your team. If you're trying to get your child into another school or into another extracurricular activity, introduce your ex to the team that will be involved in your child's life. Talk about the cause that maybe that you're going to be giving back to, how it's going to be important to the community, how it's going to make a difference in your child's lives. And we are, like I said, give us big hugs, and maintain good eye contact. That's another thing about us. We don't like it when you can't make eye contact with us, because we think that the windows are the eyes to the soul. And it's very difficult for us to have trust when you can't look us in the eye. But that takes us to the last personality type. And these are people that don't really particularly like hugs. As a matter of fact, they don't like a lot of physical contact, and they don't make a lot of great eye contact either, which are the Ks. Now, these are your scientists. These are your rocket scientists. These are your astrophysicists. These are the people that have created this world that allows us, for you and I, to be even having this webinar together. These are your computer scientists. These are the people that made your flat screen TVs and your iPhones and your Androids. These are the people that make the world happen, but they're not necessarily the most social people. So these are people that are what you would call bookworms or geeks or nerds. They are people that have probably been felt like outsiders for most of their life. They are the people that just don't feel like they fit in with others very well. So the Ks value learning and intelligence, logic. Oh my gosh, everything has to make logical sense. These are people that make decisions with their heads and not with their heart, not with their gut, but with their logic. If it's logical sense, they can agree to it. So it's very important for you, if you're trying to get them to see something, that you show the logical side of why it's the right thing to do. They love self-mastery and technology. They have all of the gadgets, and they love to be the first ones in line. They want to be, they want to have everything that they can with technology. They love research and development. These are voracious readers. So you can sometimes go into their office and it's piled high with articles or books that they want to read, or maybe papers that they've collected, and you can't disturb anything because they know where everything is. But it's just pile after pile after pile of stuff that they've been reading. They also value science and universal truths. These are people that are always asking, why are we here? What's the bigger picture? What's the meaning of all of this? They really value. It's very important to have expertise, competence, and you have to be accurate. And they want to see the big picture. So that's really, really very important for them. So we've always kind of had fun with this one. And I know that he's passed away recently, but that was Spock. And the live long and prosper. And it's, we've used it as, kind of a kidding, all kidding aside, but he was the logical. Remember, it always had to make logical sense to him. So when you are trying to communicate with somebody that is that type of person, you have to be smart and know all of your information and all of your facts, and you need to bring it with you. You need to have those resources and documentation so that they can study it. If you need to take your child on a vacation, or that your child needs to go on some sort of trip with school, you need to provide the documentation that they need so that they can make the decision that it's a yes. If you make it easy for them, they will say yes, but they need to research it. They need to read all of the paperwork that you need to provide. So again, stay logical with these people and don't get overly emotional or overly excited, because that is a turnoff for them. They completely make decisions by logic. And you know what? You're going to have to be able to debate and defend your idea. And here it says product, but your idea, whatever you're trying to get them to buy into, you have to be able to defend it, because these are the people that are typically the smartest people in the room. And they've always been the smartest people in the room. So they've always been right, and they don't like to be wrong. So they will defend, they will debate you just to make sure that you know your stuff. And so you have to be able to defend your the way you see things and the things that you want to get through. So if you don't know everything that you need to know about the new television that you need to buy, or your child needs a new computer, you need to bring an expert with you that can be your go-between, somebody that knows the information better than you do. Bring them with them. And then what you really need to do is, these are people that really need time to make a decision. So they need to do their research, and you need to give them the space to be able to do it, because if you pressure them, otherwise it's going to blow up and it's not going to go well. So they need to be able to research it. They need to be able to think about what you've said. They will go back. They will read everything you give them. They will go on the internet. They will look it up in whatever they can look it up in. And they're going to make sure that they make, if it makes logical sense to them, then it will absolutely be something that they can agree to. If it doesn't make logical sense, you've absolutely lost it. So I hope that we've gone through the 4 personality types. Oh, you know what? I didn't use the box on these on the last 2. So we talked about the box in with the blueprints. They were inside of the box thinkers. The A's were outside of the box thinkers, blow the box up kind of thinkers. The nurturers, like me, we recycle the box and we make the box look pretty, and we want it to be homey and comfortable. And the K's, these are the people that engineered the box, right? So that's what these people have done. So I hope that what you've seen is that you could see yourself in here somewhere. If you've seen yourself in here, maybe that this kind of resonated with you. Maybe you've seen your ex in here that was maybe the polar opposite of who you are, which might have been a part of the problem with the communication in your home to begin with, because you both were just speaking different languages and had a completely different style of taking in information. And you can understand that if you're a K and you're married to an A wants very little information to make a decision about where to go on vacation, and a K needs to study it, needs to go back and forth, and needs to understand about the hotel and what when the hotel was built and how far it is from the airport, and all of those other silly details that the A's would sit there and their eyes would glaze over. So hopefully what this has done is showed you that communication can go easily if you speak their language to them. And this can be, like I said, your children. This can be your ex. This can make visitation. This could make, as you grow up, when you bring new things into the mix, if you guys are going to be connected forever with children, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come up in your lives, from vacations to weddings and events and all sorts of different things that are going to graduations, all sorts of things where you're going to need to be able to communicate on a level that maybe you hadn't been thinking about before. So hopefully this has given you a chance to do that. So hopefully you see your bank code. And as I told you, I'm a nurturer, but we all have 4 codes, because we're all a little bit of all of this, right? Maybe you see, oh, I'm clearly a B, or I'm clearly an A, but you've got a little bit of everything else in you too. So my code is I'm an NAKB. maybe you can kind of see where you are in all of that, and maybe you can try and figure out what your X is so that you can then kind of switch your language. All this is going to do is make it much easier for you to be able to communicate so that things flow more easily. So why bank? Bank is about communication. Bank is about being able to get those yeses. And I don't mean that as you're trying to sell something, but sometimes you just need to be in agreement on an issue. So really to get agreement on an issue and understanding the language of the person you're speaking to and then being able to speak it back to them just makes your life easier. So I hope that this was a good source of information for you, gives you an idea about how to communicate with others a little bit easier, and that if you need to go in and listen to this again and again and again, you're in the members area, please go back and listen to it again and again and again. If you have some questions, please don't hesitate, don't feel a bit hesitant to reach out to info@thecafed.com and ask us some questions on how we can help you get this, make this a good fit for your life. And lastly, this is one of many webinar series that we have back in our membership area. And it is my goal to provide you with helpful information in our membership area that will make your life easier, make your divorce go by easier, growth from it, and become a better person because of it. So I wanted to thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this tonight. I hope that it made a difference in your life. I hope you will continue to go back to the CHOOSEday, take a look at those webinars. Join us on our Facebook page. Ask some questions, because we have professionals that peruse our Facebook page anywhere from legal to accounting to child psychologists to marriage and family counselors. We've got realtors on that board that peruse it. We have private investigators. We have mortgage companies. We have insurance companies. Everybody goes and takes a look and sees what kind of conversations are being are going on our Facebook page, so that they can hop in and maybe give you some tips and ideas on how to make this an easier transition for you. So thank you so much. Welcome to the CHOOSEday. Have a great night. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. Good night.